Welcome back to What the Flag. So excited. We're all back together again, although we are missing our fantastic social media guru, Matt. But we're going to go right to it here because we've got this beautiful box in front of us, which is super cool. The NFL are giving this out to Ireland, to secondary schools, and genuinely, it is such a cool idea. They just showed me whilst we're in here. For those that can see, it's a football with a little bit of turf as well. And then underneath it, Kenny, if you'll do the honors.
I heard the service from Wembley Stadium.
Word on the street. You got flags. Isn't this great? Obviously, the Dublin game happening later this month. Our guy, F.A. Obata, is going out to help coach. And even cooler, all these different elements where there's curriculums and just all these great ways to learn about flag football, working with AFI, American Football Ireland. So, yeah, we just wanted to share this super cool box with you. Coach Kenny, will you put it on the floor for us? Fantastic. So let's just have our little catch up. I mean, now we're back to seeing each other on a weekly basis, which is so lovely. And yes, I feel like week after week, we've had some pretty crazy news coming from your corner, but you've just recently made some big decision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it public?
Yeah.
Is it meant to be public?
Well, it will be now. So I have thought about it a lot, and I am retiring from football. Well, I say that tackle football because you girls going to flag football. But definitely, like UK wise, I think it is time to hang up my cleats, let the next generation take over.
Are you going to be one of those guys who's like every year, retiring? I'm done this year.
No.
This is my last year.
No.
This is my new last year.
If I'm going to do it one more time, I'll do it again in the US. But
okay.
UK wise, I think
International football.
Yeah, I think I'm good with.
So that's a good. Is that international or is it all tackle?
All tackle.
Ooh.
All tackle UK.
It's big. You've been a huge part of the game over here, and really from our silver medalist, though, we're ending as silver medalist.
Yes.
So that is always a big win.
It's a good time to tap out.
Yeah.
Flag player, not netball.
Flag for life, for sure.
But netball will help me with the catching and stuff.
Yeah.
Cross-curricular. Exactly.
The teachers are living their life right now.
Always.
And now we've got a lot of football ahead of us in the next month. We're now finally September 2nd. Can't believe we're already here.
Yeah, time flies.
Youth flag football. You are leaving this week. By the time this episode comes out, you'll be on a plane somewhere.
No, I'll be in Austria, not chilling. Hopefully doing some work, making sure we win some games. Yes, Youth Euros is this week. Finals will be on Saturday. So all the games are being streamed. Everyone needs to check in, go and watch it. It's great. I don't know. Youth competitions are always a bit of you never know what you're going to get because the kids age out. So it's 2-year age bands. So it'll be interesting because teams that were strong last year may not be strong this year. Teams that were not so good last year may be a lot better this time around. So a lot of ad hoc coaching is going to be going on, to work out who's who and what we need to do against teams and stuff. But it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be amazing. Had the technical meeting with IFAF earlier this week, and actually being Austria, I guess it's been planned in a lot of detail. So I'm excited for what should be a great tournament, a great competition. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and there's no shade on any of the other countries that have hosted Youth Euros. There have been some questionable situations.
Serbia was not great. I don't care how much shade comes with that. You have to call a spade a spade. Serbia was hands down I would go as far as saying a traumatic experience in terms of, so that was the only way is up. There were reasons for it, so I'm not calling individual names, but it was just not where competition is.
Well, I know when I was in Italy with the Youth Euros, I mean, I'm not really a picky eater by any means. I could live on porridge or oatmeal 24/7, but the breakfast options were croissants or Cocoa Puffs. And that was for athletes that were competing all throughout the weekend. So and no fruit, nothing like that. There was nothing of any nutritional value for these athletes that were competing. So I think with the growth of the game internationally, hopefully that gives more emphasis to the youth, because those are our future Olympians. We've got to help them and develop them from a young age. And it's an exciting time of year for all of us.
I mean, I think there was a worry in previous years that maybe, especially so last year, for example, Youth Euros was 2 weeks after the World Championships in Finland. Now, Finland was a great experience. You know, maybe if there's a complaint, maybe the food hall was a bit small and there were a lot of, you know, whatever. But actually, food was good, accommodation was great, and so on and so forth. To some degree, some people still had to like sleep on sofa beds and stuff. But it was a good.
That was questionable.
It was
a sofa bed. It was a sofa chair, by the way. A chair that would roll out.
It was a pull-out chair,
and that
not
was
a pull-out
what
sofa.
we slept on.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
You just soft mattress, soft pillows.
Never.
I think that's the best thing about traveling. The best thing about traveling is that you like expect a nice hotel and you get like nice plush.
Actually, life is different. I think because I going back to Rio 2016 in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Some of the athletes that came back were like the athlete village was the worst thing.
Yeah.
Like
that was green
bad.
pool year, though, wasn't it?
Where it was like cardboard beds.
That whole thing was.
Yeah. So, but I think where there may have been claims that maybe the youth, especially the youth Europeans, was a bit of an afterthought from an IFAF standpoint. I think having them this time 2 or 3 weeks before the adult ones, there's been a bit more of a focus on it. I mean, naturally there's always like teething problems and things need to be sorted, and some things get pushed to the last minute just because organizationally it's difficult to manage all the nations and all the countries. So I said, fingers crossed. I'm hoping it'll be again. It shouldn't be very hard to be better than last year, but I'm hoping it's vastly better than it was last year in Serbia.
Yeah, and if anybody's looking for help getting out there, MVP Travel is your go-to travel agency that helps with all of your sports travel.
Casual plug.
We love our people and just a family-oriented business. So yeah, shout out MVP Travel for that, also known as Touchdown Trips. Right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we're doing here today. We want to talk about the Americas, the Continentals that are coming up right now. Now, to go off of that, the youth are also running their Continentals along at the same time. So this is quite unusual. We don't normally have the two in the same place. But for starters, on the men's side for the Continentals, you've got 11 different countries. On the women's, you've got 9 different countries. I mean, what are you guys looking forward to? And what is really quite a quick turnaround ultimately?
It's a quick turnaround for the women in terms of coming from World Games to their Intercontinentals, which is 12th to 14th, which is in a week, maybe by the time this goes out. It's really no time at all. Really no time at all. And it's the same questions. Will teams change a lot?
Yeah.
I know we've got some inside track on this, but will teams change a lot or will they stay the same? How much of the playbooks have they shown? This is talking about the women's game still. Like, how much of their playbooks have they shown and had to show because some of the games at the World Games were really close and really tight. So you have to start digging a bit deeper into the playbooks, because if you do what you've always done, it's easier to shut you down type deal. Maybe thinking more offense there than defense. It's going to be. I think the big question for me is, I'm excited to see where the upsets are going to come. I think it's just ripe for upsets, and it will be interesting.
And before we go to you guys, I just want to give you guys the groups. So for the women, Group A, you've got USA, Panama, Brazil, Jamaica, Colombia. Group B, Mexico, Canada, Guatemala, and Argentina. And then in the men's, you've got USA, Canada, Brazil, Guatemala, Colombia. Group B, Mexico, Panama, Chile, Argentina, Jamaica, and El Salvador. Now, in both of those, and what makes the Americas kind of so, I guess, the most competitive, is you have 3 of the top teams in the world in the same Continentals. And we're talking about US, Canada, and Mexico. Now, we did get the opportunity to speak with the women's Canadian head coach about how they are in the same group as Mexico and what that means for them. So, I mean, what were your takes away from talking to Coach?
I think it's always I don't know if a shame is the right thing to say, but to see,
Shame.
yeah, just to see the big hitters go up against each other so early, I think it can sometimes mean that where you have the USA sort of on their own in Group A, and then you have Mexico and Canada in Group B, off of sort of World Games, viewing and or sort of like stats, you're going to assume that USA is kind of going to run through that group. Assumption, it might not happen. But assumably, it's probably going to be the USA then that's getting all the way to the end.
Yeah.
And then it just seems a bit of a shame that then Mexico and Canada don't necessarily get that same route. And especially if they're quite an early game, you could potentially see one of your big hitters sort of lose their position quite early in the game.
So because they start in a table format, that early game between Mexico and Canada will be in the group stages. So they all still...
Oh, so it's like Football World Cup vibes.
Yeah. So they'll still go through to like then the knockout phases. But what it does mean is more often than not, you want to be in the semi-final that doesn't have the other one of the big three, right? So because again, I feel like we say no disrespect so often because we don't want to offend anyone. But like, it's like 1, 2, and 3, then the drop. There's a big gap to number 4, right? So whoever has that number 4th or number 15 that makes it into the semifinals has like 1 foot in the finals.
Has been Panama for at least in the women's game.
Well, so interestingly, Panama, memory serves, history buffs, check it please. 2016 won the World Championships.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like when they won it, all those players were like, we've won.
See ya.
Yeah.
Take the W and off.
Got out of Dodge, right? So, because the Panamanian, again, I'm speaking women's heavily here.
Panamanian, look at you.
Right?
Shout out Coach Markey, who would have been on the men's team for that.
Don't gaslight me, please. Right? The teams I feel like I've seen since then haven't really done it, really and truly for me. They've not been...
They were at the World Games, though. They came, they won bronze at the World Games. Panama did, women.
In
Alabama.
Yeah, but not careful.
And
that was
they
coming
would
out of
have beat
COVID.
USA if Joe Overstreet was out the back of the end zone on that touchdown they called.
In a group stage game. It wasn't, right?
Still.
But they just, compare the Panamanian team that was at World Championships last year, right? Just not even anywhere near it, and also that, not like that World Games in Alabama was coming out of COVID. There was just a lot of issues and teams not actually presenting the best of themselves. Germany men's went to pieces because Fabi had COVID, was out for pretty much the whole tournament. So I still think regardless, I still don't see, and I'd love to be proven wrong, who's going to challenge those 3, in terms of
I think it's really nice to see other teams step up though. It's really nice to hear countries like Jamaica being mentioned, men and women's, and then El Salvador as well. It's really nice to hear those countries sort of getting an opportunity to show what they've got, because obviously by the time the Olympics comes around, it would be amazing to be in the position where you're looking at a Jamaican team stepping up for the flag. So I guess it's not always ideal if they're not a team that's sort of as well known, and then they have to go up against a team that's way more established. But all exposure is good exposure at this point. I feel like there's nothing negative that can come out of them playing this game.
Till when?
I mean,
I
know exactly what you mean. For now. Until the end of 2025, 2026, have your game.
But it's true. You need to get that game experience. Yeah. There's no better experience than competing against some of the best countries. For some of these groups, whether you're looking at the men's, Colombia gets to compete against USA and Canada. I mean, who's to say that looking at the men's group, you don't come out of that, hey, Canada is actually going to be number 1 in that group. And that's what makes this so exciting. And I think the men's are slightly different because they've not got in some ways it helps, some ways it hinders, right? In some ways they've not had the World Games experience, with World Games only being women's teams, but it's given them more time to prepare. If there were injuries, if there were anything like that, they've been able to overcome it. For the women's, and we just learned the other day that Canada were actually stuck
Yes,
in
for
Chengdu.
5 days.
I mean,
Insane.
how does that play a role in what happened? They missed practices. We saw USA practicing, and you know, there's all these different elements that play a role that could potentially lead to why a team makes it or doesn't make it. Again, the women's group, no one says that, you know, Brazil or Panama haven't improved and could challenge USA. You know, maybe they're not coming in there with their strongest foot forward. They've got a point to prove coming into this tournament as well.
From speaking predominantly from the women's, just based off the World Games, I really don't see anyone. And sometimes I worry, that's not the right word, but I wonder if the struggle for USA is they don't really ever have to play a game, like a competitive game, until the semi-finals or the finals, which if you've not been in those positions, if you've not felt that feeling, that pressure, that like, you know, and we all know it, the USA talk a good game. That's do. You know, they live that life at call, that, you know, each to their own. But it hits different. The physiological effects on anyone of this is the moment, this is when it matters. You can't replicate that.
Sometimes it's that resilience that maybe they don't necessarily have to have because they win so much so early.
But also, sometimes it's the losses. Like you have to know how to take those losses to know that I can use that experience to feed into the, you know. So it will be very interesting. I'm excited for predictions because I'm like, who's it going to be?
And I think that's what makes it exciting, you know. And I just want to shout out a couple different players that are competing. You know, we're going to be able to see Bruce Mapp playing again for Team USA. He wasn't playing when they had the National Cup. And then my guy Victor Valderramos from Team Mexico, he's a super exciting player to look out for. On the women's side, Laura Molomard, who plays center, it was her first competition at the World Games. I think she's going to continue to grow and develop. Gabriela Bankhart, who is one of our NFL Global Flag Ambassadors for Brazil, and Tatiana Dos Santos for Panama. I loved watching Alison Salazar from Team Mexico playing, and that's what I'm so looking forward to seeing her play from, you know, being that lockdown defender. I think what's interesting is a lot of people are going to see what Mexico did with Team USA Women's and try and replicate that. Do they have the personnel? What does that mean? It makes it so challenging because you're right, Ken. Like, there's all this film now on these teams, and what does that mean for going forwards? I just want to quickly mention, alongside all of this are the Youth Euros, or the Youth Americas, sorry. So there's U15 boys and girls, which is different because you normally have mixed U15. This time it's listed as U15 boys and girls, and then U17 girls and U17 boys. So mixed for us in Europe is, do you want to break that down a little bit?
Yeah. So because I think ultimately youth flag football is still developing, and especially from a European standpoint, still getting a lot of players into the game. So most nations struggle with girls playing at that kind of more elite level. So at 15 and under, which is players 15 and 14 years old, it's a mixed format where by rule, for one half of the game, you have to have at least 2 girls on the field at all times. And then for the second half of that same game, you have to have at least 3 girls on the field, you know, at all times. And ultimately, like I've said this, whichever team, whether it was with GB, with Swiss, even to the Spanish guys, like the teams that do best in that mixed format are the ones that have the best girls. Hands down, you can't win a whole game with just 2 boys predominantly, you know? And I think that's a really good idea, good format. The thing I think IFAF need to turn their eyes to fairly quickly is if you keep doing that, it doesn't force people to come out of that and find ways to get more girls into playing at an earlier age, you know? So,
and that's where I think this comes into play. So this is actually broken into, for U15 boys, Guatemala, 2 Mexico teams, basically a red and a green, and then a Panama team. And then for U15 girls, it's Mexico and 2 Panama teams. So they're now separating. This is the start. And because I think the Americas have had the highest level of youth players for so long. And then when you get to U17 girls, Mexico and 2 Panama teams, and then U17 boys, Guatemala, Mexico, and Panama.
So no America, no Canada.
Which is such an interesting point because those teams are competing in the adult. So I'm not quite sure.
You think they'd have sort of like a grassroots system?
They do. They have under 15s, under 17s.
So why would they not have the opportunity?
Is my easy. I think it's a costing.
Do you think so? Even USA Football, you think they don't have the funding for that?
You have to. I think they're choosing what to prioritize. So I think it was easier to perhaps get all those players to LA for the International Cup, which for them is perhaps more of a Worlds than an Americas, you know, because of the teams that went there. I don't actually know what youth teams were there for the International Cup, but I think it's a bit of prioritizing what to spend money on because it's expensive, regardless of who it is expensive. So can we give the same experience? And it's like playing experience is different from travel experience, right? I don't think they're too worried about travel experience, which I would argue that maybe I'm speaking of USA specifically.
It's pretty important.
Pretty important. But actually, if it's playing experience that they want, they probably get more of that they probably feel, I would guess, that they get more of that from the International Cup than they do from an IFAF standpoint.
Yeah, and we can see that. I think every team still, whether it's adult or it's youth, funding is always going to be a struggle. So that's going to be a constant topic that we bring up here, but we'll be right back.
Welcome back to What the Flag. This week I had the honour of finding our quote of the week, and it made me think about something that my coach in DC said about your why.
What's your coach's? You always say about your coach. We never know which coach you're talking about.
Okay, so it's the head coach. We called her Ghost. It was her nickname. I was like, do people know they call you Ghost? Anyway, sidetrack. But the coach is by a guy called Simon Sinek on a TED Talk where he said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And it just made me think about what your why is. Like, why do you play football? Why do you do what you do? Why? So I will send it over to the table. Phoebe.
Ooh. So they don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Yes.
I think it's almost like setting up your own culture, really, right? I mean, it's easy enough. I mean, you guys are teachers and coaches as well. Like, to go into a room and be like, this is what we need to do, blah, blah, blah. But actually, it's more about the deeper meaning behind it. And if everyone understands the why, understands the vision, it helps to kind of guide that ship in terms of the direction that we're going.
I think your why feeds so much into like who you are. So it speaks a lot to authenticity, you know. So it's not you can say whatever you can, but actions speak louder than words. Like your why will feed into the way you do things and what people ultimately see, not just hear, but see of who you are. So I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's really interesting.
And I like that line about authenticity because I do think that football really in some way exposes you, but also it shows you who you are as a coach, who you are as a player, who you are on the field. That is really who you are because you can't hide out there. And so we might at times kind of portray ourselves in different ways, but actually when you're out there, it's raw, it's emotions, it's how you react, What did you think about it? When she would say it's you, what goes through your mind?
Well, it made me think about the community that they built in their team and sort of like how important family was to them when they were playing. And it made me think about sort of like the reasons that I stayed and the reasons that I continued to play. And I think I agree with authenticity. I agree with sort of the culture around it. But I think also it's the bonds that you make. I think when you play tackle, the bonds that you make are so much stronger because, especially in the position that I play, if you don't do your job properly, people can get really seriously hurt. So the bonds that you make and those cohesions with people that you sort of play with on the line become that much more important. And when you think about why you do it, well, you do it to protect someone else. You do it because, you know, you trust that this person's also going to do their job. And I think that in itself is like so important in terms of like the relationships you build and going on to win those games. I think a lot of the time you would never be able to get those wins without the cohesion, without that trust that you had with the person next to you. So I guess that would be my why.
I love that. It was a great quote.
Thanks.
Earlier this week, we had the opportunity to catch up with Coach Rachel Lessard of Team Canada's women's flag football. Here's what she had to say. Welcome back to What the Flag. Look, this is so exciting. Our first official guest is joining us. Yaz and Kenny are in the building as well, but we want to introduce you to the head coach of the Team Canada Senior Women's Flag Program, Coach Rachel Lessard. I mean, what an honor it is to have you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I want to dive right into this because you and I were both out in Chengdu at the World Games, and it was an unbelievable experience. I would love to know, what was your favorite part about the World Games?
It was quite impressive, huh? All the decorum and the planification around everything. It was so like sharp on everything. But it's hard to say which one is my favorite part. I must say that I was really impressed that I saw a lot of resilience and unity during the tournament from my team. I mean, we're a young team. We haven't been playing that long together. I had a few youngsters that were a bit impressed with the crowd, all the TVs and stuff. So I'm proud of when one unit was struggling, the other one was giving their all, to balance. There were no finger pointing. These are values that I really implement as soon as we got the team together. Even at the last ID camp, I told the players what my values were. So I was so proud that in hard moments, those values still came out. I was proud of our bronze medal. It was a really difficult tournament. The weather, you were there, it was suffocating. Jet lag, we arrived only a few days before, so we were jet lagged. Our crew on the Canadian team, we only have 3 coaches compared to the other countries. So we work really hard, not much sleep. So I'm proud of all the game plan we were able to come up with such a short amount of time and lack of sleep. And I was really proud when I saw them step on the podium. Even though we could not be there with them, I was across the field from them and I was crying like a baby. And yeah, and I was also proud of the fact that, okay, we are satisfied with bronze, but I know that most of them want more.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
That's in that spirit that we're going to Panama.
Absolutely. It's a great spirit to have, for sure.
And Coach, congratulations on the bronze. A bit of a selfish question from myself as a coach as well. Did the coaches get medals, or was it just the players? Because I saw a picture and I didn't see that. I didn't see the medals, but I was worried.
No medals for us.
Oh.
They say that it's like the Olympic decorum that they want, so no medals. The girls were nice. I got to hold it in my hands, and there was also a beautiful necklace inside of the medal. And this plus the fact that I didn't get to go on the podium with my players, I found very difficult, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh dear. Sorry to hear that.
No.
It was a great performance by yourself and the coaches, though. It was really deserved, really deserved.
Thank you.
I hope you got them to take some photos with you holding the medal at least, so you have that to treasure for.
Yes, and they gave me a good football from the World Games. It's all signed up with the girls. They wanted to diminish my how do I say this? The fact that I was sad, so they gave me the ball and they all signed with their number. So that's sweet. I'll cherish that.
That's amazing.
So of course you were sort of observing this all as a coach and, watching your players, complete, round off such an amazing experience. And we just sort of wanted to know, how did you transition from being a player yourself into becoming a coach? Was it always a goal and ambition for you, or was it something that, just sort of came naturally?
Yeah, you're gonna be surprised by my answer, but no, I was not aiming to be a coach. I wanted to play until I was 65. Unfortunately, I got a big head injury in 2015, so I had to stop playing. I was still playing at a good level and still competing, so I was kind of lost when this happened. You know, you're used to being an athlete, running all the time, struggling. I have 3 kids, so struggling with kids and stuff, being busy. So I was kind of, yeah, I kind of lost myself at that moment. And after a few years, Alexandre Desjardins, he was the head coach of the University of Montreal. He's now my assistant on Team Can. But he came up to me like, I'm looking for someone to help me on defense. And I was like, I didn't know. I always been on on the teams that I play. I often was also doing the play calling on defense. So I was kind of a bit curious, but I cannot say I was really interested. So he said, he was very smart. He said, well, come to one practice and see if you like it.
Yeah.
And then I go and I meet these amazing athletes. They're so talented, committed, serious, and the respect that they shown just the first time that I met, like they knew a bit of my background, but it was an instant connection. And I don't think I missed a lot of practice after that. It was just like, I think it was meant to be.
That's incredible. And it's amazing how these things just align sometimes, and sometimes it knows when we need these next steps in our lives and pushes us a little bit, which is always good.
Absolutely.
I think it's hard to ignore, whether we're looking at the World Games and perhaps, with the Americas coming up, the Continentals. I mean, you were the only female head coach at an international level. Of course, Mexico had, their offensive coordinator who's a woman, but it is actually not as common at the international level to have a woman in these roles. I guess what would be your opinion on how we can address it and look to kind of change the landscape of flag football?
Really, I think we just need to be a little more patient. It's coming. I feel this fresh air coming. I feel it in Quebec a lot. Our provincial association is doing a lot of mentoring with women. They promote coaches, female coaches. I was head coach last year for the U18 also in this province. They're putting us forward. They believe we have the talent and helping women grow in the coaching career. I also see that at the university level, now it's getting bigger, and not only bigger because we have more university, but it's getting better in the sense of the quality of play that we see. If I look at my roster right now, I think like 3/4 of them would make amazing coaches. So it's there, it's coming, it's going to come very soon. And I see that people are very open-minded. And what I hear also from the players is they love being coached by a woman. The positive thinking, it's another way of coaching, but they love it. They respond so well. So I think we just need to be a little bit more patient.
Yeah, I agree. I know Yaz and I have been coached by Lori Locust, who coaches with Tennessee Titans. She came over and tackled and coached us, and that was an amazing experience. I think it is changing. I do a lot of work with NFL Flag, and we have our NFL Flag regionals in Montreal, Edmonton, and beyond. And all of it's a really even split amongst female coaches, coaching the youth, but also officials. The female officials are phenomenal that we've had at these tournaments.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of keeping in this line, there are still challenges around scouting and recruiting players, right? I mean, Canada is massive. Now, I know a bunch of your girls and yourself are from the Montreal area, but what have you found to be some of those challenges and some of the ways to kind of work around those challenges when it comes to recruitment for players?
Yeah, well, Football Canada did many camps all across Canada. So I think they really did their work to try to find some jewel all across Canada. Um, I think we're going to do even better next year because the coaches are now in place. Last year, while they were doing camps, coaches were not there. So now that we have a team of coach, we know what we want for our offensive and defensive system. So I think it's going to be even better. I think if we want to do um, we need to be very objective because going across Canada, you see different level of at the quality of the football players, and some players are very good in their province, but when we all mix them up together, you see that now it's relative. So we also need to be I need to have a good group of volunteers around me who will be very objective when they evaluate, have the same standards as we go all across the provinces. But I think we went all the way across the country last year, so it's going to be even better this year.
Oh, I agree.
That sounds amazing. I think it's some people would say it's a good problem to have, having to go across all the different places. So with such a short turnaround between now and because the Continentals are in 2 weeks away, and
I know.
I'm sure you'll be fine. But like,
Yeah.
how well, I'll ask the question. Do you change players in between? Is it the same squad that was in Chengdu, which would be the assumption that it's the same squad from Chengdu that you take across? But with the turnaround being so quick, are there any players to look out for? Or, are we looking at more of the same?
Okay. First thing, we did not change the roster from Chengdu. I believe the crew we had there really did the job. Yeah. Also, the fact that we got stuck in Chengdu, we had to stay 5 more days over there. So it would have been difficult to switch anything because it cost us a few practices. Yeah, we got back like 6 or 7 days later. So,
sorry, Coach, thank you. Why? I was going to ask why.
Thank you, Air Canada. There was
the strikes.
The strike. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh.
Not come back, and everybody was trying to buy tickets to come back to Canada. So, no, we were stuck there. So we lost a lot of practice time, jet lag time, recovering from the jet lag. So no, we decided to keep the same roster, not only because of that, but it was also a factor because they did well in Chengdu. As I said, we have been together, I think it was at the end, mid-June that we announced this team. It's a young team. Some of them have no experience on the international level. So I'm very proud of what they did. And I think it's only going to get better as they get more experience. So
you didn't want to do some extra practices in the Chengdu heat? You don't want to do anything?
No, sir.
It was unbelievable, wasn't it? That heat. I am so glad to be out of there.
I bought this fan, this neck
fan. You're famous. You made it famous.
For buying, but it was my best friend during this tournament, helped me for a few hours when games were on. In that weather, it was terrible.
Oh gosh. And I have to say, I love your center. I thought she's such a great player and such a big impact. And she's new to the team as well? Or
Laura Molimar is her name. She's brand new. She's a kid. She has been on the university level. I saw her for 2 years now. She's very progressing really well. I think Alex, my OC, exploited her wonderfully, and she came through. I mean, she was not impressed by anyone. No, so yes, that was a good asset to have with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to wrap it up, obviously you've told us so much about, your team, your coaching experience, how amazing your experience was in Chengdu. But for the coaches listening, the budding coaches listening, for anyone who's thinking of getting into flag, what would you say the best piece of advice you've received is that sort of helped you in your coaching, in your development?
Don't be too hard on yourself. You're like players, huh? You have good days, you have bad days. So learn from your mistake and never believe that you know everything. Always second guess yourself. That's the way to progress. That would be my best advice.
That's absolutely perfect. And I think something that we can all carry into our everyday lives. I mean, we really just want to say a massive thank you for making time to speak with our What the Flag podcast. Coach Lessard, where is the best place, I guess, if people want to reach out or follow you at all, that they can get in contact with you if you want them to?
So first, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook because I'm a boomer. So yes, they can.
Let's go. Oh, well, merci beaucoup, and we will see you all next time on What the Flag.
Merci à vous. Thank you very much.
So Phoebe's had to skedaddle. We're going to do the outro, but the challenge is to do it one word each, okay? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Thank
You
for
joining
us
on
this
show.
we
Are
so
happy
that
you
could
listen
to
us
talk
about
everything
flag.
football.
Like,
Share
follow,
and
subscribe,
make
sure,
you
ding,
the
bell.
See you next week, guys.
See you next, yeah, that's it. See you next week, guys. Bye, 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 bye.
Bye, bye.